How Long Gone is here Thursday. You're listening to this on Friday. Damn, TGIF, bro. I'm back in Cali. I just did a workout. I hit the sauna, cold shower. I got the Laird in my cup. I'm feeling good.
Damn, the vibe has shifted. Senor TJ has returned.
Do not say the vibe has shifted, please.
Luckily, I'm wearing one of those new Miu Miu mini skirts for this podcast.
Are you and Nicole Kidman the same size?
You know, I'm a little bit bigger, but luckily my stylist called it in for me, and we kind of had it ready for the show.
She's a little more snatched than you are. You're like a 26. She's like a 24.
Unfortunately, yes, but luckily I'm much younger, by 20 years. So, and that's no shots at Nicole or my dog Keith Urban.
20? You think Nicole Kidman's 60 years old?
She's probably mid 50s. I mean, she's lying. Whatever she says.
It says 54, so that means she's really 56, right?
Yeah. So she's.
Also, she 5'11", so you guys are about the same height. Also, she was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. This is all fucked up. Have you been to the movie? You ever been to the AMC movie theater where you got Nicole Kidman doing that fucking crazy ass commercial about how going to the movies is sick?
No, I don't go to the movies very often, so I wouldn't.
Dude, I mean, it was like a talked about thing outside of.
It's one of her best performances.
Every time, like the only time I go to the movie, I've been to the movie twice in the last 2 years because of COVID, obviously, and also, I just forget.
Why would you go to the movies when you can stay at home with Disney Plus? I agree, Jesse. I agree.
That's another thing. Fuck Disney. But I have that on my notes today, talking about Disney adults.
Did you see that they're opening that they're opening like a living space, like you can live at Disney World?
I like how you call a housing community. You call it living space. And
No, I mean it's
they're a pre-planned community. We'll get into that with our guests. I'm digressing here. What were we? Okay, so
Nicole Kidman.
The commercial is Nicole Kidman, because I mean I'm always, once I go to the movie theater, I'm an experiential guy.
Of course, do you not go to those? Do you go to the 4D ones where the seats shake and you get smells, like you can smell burning rubber?
I've been to 4DX a few times. If you think there's another way to see Sonic the Hedgehog in the theaters,
did you actually see that shit, you dumbass?
Yeah, well, I mean, I went to the 4DX. They have it here downtown at the LA Live.
You're telling me that you went to LA Live? You went to downtown LA to see Sonic the Hedgehog in 4DX? That's something you paid for.
Marijuana is a hell of a drug, Chris. But the thing is, the thing is, when you see a 4DX movie, it turns whatever you're seeing into, a roller coaster ride. So
sure.
They're not going to do the Lost Daughter 4DX. It's not going to have a whole lot of action going on, other than the splashing of the ocean waves or something. But you got to see Fast and the Furious, Star Wars, some type of
some action
thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen Star Wars in 4DX or some bullshit like that.
Oh my god!
And I was like, this is so fucking stupid. I hate it. But then Sonic. I mean, first of all, Sonic, it's not a bad movie for what it is. Like, expectations are low, kind of like Paddington. How everyone says like Paddington 2 is like actually a sick ass movie. It's kind of the same
people
vibe.
say a lot of stuff, Jason. People say a lot of stuff every day, and I usually disagree with them. And this is a case where I'm going to continue that trend.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to even bother attempting to try to convince you into ever doing.
You're literally trying to convince hundreds of thousands of people right now to go see Sonic.
No. Sonic is, well, first of all, it's already out of theaters, and it's tough because the guy who does the voice for Sonic, he's like pretty dorky, but he is also very talented. Anyway, I'm digressing again.
Did BJ Novak do the voice for Sonic?
Don't come from my king, BJ. Shout outs to BJ. We hope you're listening as always, and it'll be only a matter of time until we get your fat little ass on this podcast.
I'm going to be breaking bread with Beej at the San Vicente Bungalows, and momentarily, Did
they accept your bribe to become a member?
Once Mayor's off tour, no, I haven't received word yet, but I'm hopeful. I talked to
supply chain.
I talked to my advisors, and I spoke to the committee, and they're saying it's looking good for me, but I don't want to jinx that by talking about it with you on the podcast.
Don't count your chickens before they've hatched, and mentioning that you work with me in any capacity will not assist you in your efforts to join the San Vicente Bungalows.
I'm very aware that my connection to you only brings me down, and your connection to me only brings you up. But I'm okay with that.
I've been on record poo-pooing their food and their menu, sure. But anyway, Nicole Kidman, I'm in the movie theater. I'm high as a Georgia pine. I'm off the edible. I'm off the pre-roll. Shout out to Aries. a great clothing company who collaborated with Pure Beauty to make some very fashionable pre-rolls. They sent the pack.
I'm familiar with Aries. Yeah, great brand.
Aries is a great brand, and I was smoking a great doink last night as I got back into Cali.
You were smoking that Cali Kush.
I took 3/4 of an Aries pre-roll to the fucking dome.
You can only take 3/4 of a pre-roll, bro. Are you
That's
really
not
that
bad,
bitch made?
bro. Come on.
No, come on. Burn that shit down till it hits your fingers. I want to see. I want your fingers charred up. I want your fingernails looking like.
I'm getting there. Look, I'm a creature of routine just like you, and I've been out of practice. I was traveling internationally, and I don't like to bring flour through customs.
No, I understand. So while you were gentrifying CDMX, you were only smoking mole. No
I was only having smoked caterpillar mole reduction.
Okay.
So, anyways, you're in the movie theater, and Nicole Kidman comes on.
Yeah.
And it's like they spent a lot of money on this. Like it's like a Super Bowl commercial level.
Nicole's beauty, glam on its own is probably 100.
Yeah. Any woman who's from Hawaii, they have this just natural beauty to them. They just glow, like Nicole.
Nothing says Hawaiian like Nicole Kidman. Yeah.
She's my Tongan princess.
I would love to get off my Delta One flight in Honolulu and just be greeted by Nicole Kidman's pasty ass with a lei, just ready to welcome me into her
Nicole
country.
Kidman with she's got a wild boar skull over her shoulder because she speared it in the woods, and she's gonna go take it. She's gonna take you down to the luau. Where that thing's getting 6 feet.
We should try to get her on just to talk about the microclimates. I think that'd be pretty interesting from her.
We should. I mean, first of all, we should get Nicole Kidman on this podcast. It's about time. But second of all, when you're in Hawaii, I mean, 1 minute it's raining, the next it's sunny.
I know.
You want to talk about microclimates? Fuck. But anyway, this commercial comes on every time, and I forget. So I'm like stoned as fuck watching it, and it's just Nicole Kidman walking around a movie theater, and she's just telling you in like kind of a sexy, sultry voice, just like, movies are fucking sick, bro. If you watch movies at home like a fucking pussy, I watch movies like a big boy in the theater. Costs $85 for me and my chick to see one shitty fucking movie like a fucking boss. And then I cry every time that fucking commercial comes
You
on.
love going to the movies. It's
But I like Hawaiian chicks and all types of, AAPI representation.
So you're saying Nicole Kidman is AAPI representation. Thank you, AMC theaters. Thank you, AMC theaters.
Hawaii is literally in the center of the Pacific Ocean. I mean, you want
Jason,
Pacific
I'm not
Islander.
questioning-
You want to talk? I mean, this is
No,
it.
there's nothing more Pacific Islander than Nicole. I'm just saying that I don't think she screams.
This could
it
be
the way
this could be a How Long Gone breaking exclusive. Obviously, I'm not the first person to look at Nicole Kidman's Wikipedia or her wiki feet, but this is a fun fact that I don't think I was privy to.
No, I also wasn't privy to it, and I don't think I'm better off for knowing this. But I appreciate you for once again blessing me with things that I don't care about.
You mean not so fun facts?
Yeah, that's your zone. You know what I mean? Whether it's food or Nicole Kidman, it's only stuff I don't want to know about. But look, I'm glad to have you back in the country. I'm sure your body's happy to be back.
Yeah, it is happy.
Have you brushed your teeth, or are you trying to kind of keep that mezcal flavor on the gums, kind of to keep the vacation going?
No. I brushed. I took a. It's always hard. I don't want to do it when you get home late. Mm-hmm. I mean, not late, but we probably got home like 9 p.m. or so.
That's late.
Flight was kind of delayed, so you all you want to do is just put on some yammies and just kind of crash out. And
so you put on your SpongeBob flannels and then climbed into bed, or did you take the time to clean your dirty body?
If she got the SpongeBob flannels, the dick is getting, fucking mieled up. Some good pussy under these sponges, but I pushed through, and I was thinking of, don't act on TJ of now. Mm-hmm. What would TJ of tomorrow want? And he would want
smart,
a nice long shower, moisturize, do an extra long toothbrush in the shower, really get it popping. So I felt good and clean today.
So you used your Hunt's Marvis custom collab toothpaste when you got home.
Yeah.
You toweled off that beautiful head of hair. You used your soft services to scrub down because I'm sure you didn't travel with it. And you're just, you went to the gym and everything. So you're feeling back. Like, what is TJ's battery pack looking like right now?
I experienced that thing, and I'm sure it's something that you do as well. Like when you take some time off of the gym.
I've never done that, but sure, go ahead.
Well, maybe our listeners might be able to relate
you think,
to this.
Don't do that. We don't have lazy listeners, Jason. Just talk about yourself and don't put this on other people.
Look, sometimes like I like to work out a decent amount. Obviously not nearly as much as you do, but
we've heard that. Yeah, we've heard
it's a routine that I like to do, and sometimes if you're traveling or you get sick or whatever it may be, you don't have the ability. Your workout routine,
of course,
shifts and changes. You have to alter it. So it's an interesting double-edged sword where on the downside, you're out of practice, you're not warmed up, you're a little out of shape perhaps, but then on the plus side, you have rested thoroughly, so then all of your workouts suddenly become much easier. That's the thing you've experienced, right?
I have experienced it. It's more after I get like a great night of sleep, maybe. Like if I travel, like when we go from LA to New York and you get in kind of late in the afternoon, you feel a little groggy, and the next day you wake up, early, you have your cold brew, you have your ladder, and then you really go smash fucking berries. That's what I'm talking about. I've been there.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about like, if you, let's say, you're a squat man. Let's say you're squatting every day, and obviously as time progresses, as we take another lap around this crazy sun, you're gonna like, I'm squatting 150, I'm doing 2, it goes up and up, but then you're tearing your muscles quite literally. You're harming yourself, so you obviously need to rest, so then you can recuperate and do it again.
Yeah, you work a different muscle the next day, but sure, go ahead.
Oh, that's actually a good idea. You should be a trainer.
I know.
But when you take 4 or 5 days off of punishing that muscle, and then you really let it, instead of just taking 1 day off, perhaps while you're doing chest and back, you go into it scared, and you're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to like start over from scratch. But then suddenly you're like, oh, things become easier.
No, there's some truth to that,
and it makes you reconsider the whole resting and working out thing. Like,
doesn't do that for me, but sure, I understand what you mean. Like, this is
I know,
great
but also
theory.
you're walking around every day, kind of in pain.
Yeah, I love it. That's what I live for. I'm in pain right now. I'm fucking in pain all the time.
I come home, I watch Billions, and I make my chick step on my fucking penis with her Louboutins.
No, I don't like pain. It's a necessary part of the growth process, Jason. And when you're trying to, trying to do this.
I think the pain to you, sorry to interrupt, the pain to you is like,
sorry to interrupt.
That's all I've done this entire 15 minutes. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm juiced up. I'm excited to be home in Cali, but you like that pain because that means it's working.
Exactly.
When you chew up the oxy, you don't want it to taste delicious. You want it to have
right. Yeah, if it tasted like spearmint, I would be pissed.
Yeah, I mean, when you're dubious when something is too good. You want your smoothie to be a little
dead ass,
have a little
dead ass,
because otherwise it ain't working.
I need the bee pollen to come through, in the flavor profile. Well, we do. Look, thank you for that great story about you having a good workout after 5 days of drinking and drugging. But we do have.
I also had excessive diarrhea, so I had no weight gain whatsoever.
That's the only good part of this trip. Honestly, that's the only part I'm happy about. We do have a guest today, How Long Gone MVP, former guest, and now podcast star in his own right, Stephen Phillips-Horst. You probably know him from Celebrity Book Club, the podcast he does with Lily.
Both of them have been on the show before. Fan faves, and I've been listening to Celebrity Book Club, and obviously he's hilarious on social media as well, and a great conversationalist and podcaster. So
we need to have him back. We
had to have him back on.
We need to have elite podcaster tap in. It's been a couple weeks since we've had one, so it's always nice to reset the clock with a pro. And he said to me that he's going to record locally on Ableton, which is seems like he's straight. So I want to confront him about that. No gay guy has ever said, I'm going to record locally on Ableton.
No. Rostam has said that.
Okay, that's true. Maybe Rostam did say that. But he does this for he does it for a living. So I'm like, that tracks.
SPH has a background in electronic music production. We'll get into that.
Okay. All right, let's give him a buzz.
Give him a local Zoom.
Hello.
Wow, hey, thanks. Were you just shaving your chest? You're 4 minutes late.
Okay, simmer all the way down.
Wait, let's make sure, Steve. Make sure are you recording on your end locally? Is that what I heard?
I'm recording locally, so yeah, we were having some audio stuff over here. Sorry, it's been a crazy day, but I am fully recording locally in Ableton.
I said to Jason, I need to confront you because I don't think any gay man has ever said I'm recording locally on Ableton ever in the history of time. I think you're the first guy to utter those words.
Other than Rostam.
I feel like Rostam uses Pro Tools. Sorry.
That's a good point. He is a professional.
No. You know that Rostam starts in Ableton and he finishes in Pro Tools.
Really?
And that's not a euphemism.
Yeah, that sounded a little nasty. Where are you? Are you in New York?
Yeah. Wait, so are we not doing... Okay, so I'm on video. Are you guys not going to do video? Are we going to kind of...
We can do
for you.
video.
For you, I will. Are you you're in like a real studio, or is this just your house?
This
now?
is my home office, baby.
Home office.
You see the little sticky notes, which kind of really gives a sense of activity.
You really are. You've lapped us. You're a more elite podcaster than we are now. I don't. It doesn't make me feel great, but that's just where we're at.
You guys did have a New York Times a spread, right?
We did.
Yeah, but we had to pay for it.
A, you had to pay Caitlin Phillips $5,000 a week. B, I believe you were, correct me if I'm wrong, below the fold. Is that right?
I knew where this was going, and you know, you're luckily.
That's Chris's kryptonite, Steven.
You're lucky.
Well done.
If Jason and I were gay, we would have been on the front page of the actual paper. You know what I mean? But we have some factors. We have some factors working against us.
It would be.
No, I know.
Like how long gone? Trouble in Ukraine. Super Bowl happened. That's how it would go.
It's harder than ever to be two straight white men in the cultural sphere. Okay?
It is, and I don't.
But nevertheless, we persist.
I would never complain, obviously, because of the other privileges that I have, like being tall. But I'm not gonna. I just want to point that out. As a fact. That's all. I just wanted to say it. Get on the record.
You are correct. It's very hard for lesbians, especially, to be tall. And
just scientifically speaking,
I didn't know that lesbians are underrepresented in the tall space. I didn't know that.
I don't know. I mean, it goes both ways because as a tall person, whenever I'm in the club, I always get singled out because every gaggle of gals has the one very, very tall friend, and I am the one who has to talk to her.
Right, because you guys are both up there in the clouds.
We're up in the clouds, but they always got about 15, 20 pounds on me, bigger shoulders than me, and really kick ass at beach volleyball.
Jason, don't act like you haven't run.
So I'm just saying, they could be lesbians.
Jason's run through a couple of, sixth women from the WNBA. He's not getting starters, but he's off the bench. He can do it.
Do you like that, Jason, when you're in bed with a fellow giantess? Do you feel like that's fun? That your guys, hey, we both know the field sort of thing. You feel like you're on home turf a little bit.
Do I like fucking WNBA players? Yeah, Steven, I do.
You like to slam dunk some of that?
Like, I don't fit on this bed. Neither do I, Jason. I'm like, ah! But congratulations on being above the fold. Obviously, you got there with your talents and skills and connections and not your sexuality or preferences.
We call that earned media, baby. Okay.
I know what that means.
So you guys don't have a publicist? That's awesome.
Of course they do. Why do you think you referenced Caitlin Phillips?
Oh, interesting.
Well, we did KP at the beginning just to get the ball rolling. Okay.
Interesting. Look, I know how your whole operation is bankrolled. You're not fooling me. I'm on the back end. You know what I mean? I know what goes on in your little podcast. So
yeah, there's a bank and it's rolling right by me. So everyone else is getting paid.
You have a producer that has reached out to me. There's a whole team over there.
Yeah, There's a whole clown car over there. That's for sure.
We're looking to do a crossover episode, Jason.
Oh, when?
Unclear, but we're selecting. I'll let you kind of get involved in the conversation once that the terms have been kind of finalized. I don't like to waste your time.
Thanks, man.
Can I say the branding cohesion with you two right now is incredible. You are both in green sweatshirts. You're in the darker forest, sort of more HLG branded sweatshirt, Chris. Jason's in a light, more of a jade seafoam.
This is vintage, sporty and rich. Spring summer 19. Thank you. And my beverage is, of course, spirulina green.
Is that Athletic Greens? Is that self-made?
This is not Athletic Greens.
We don't fuck with Athletic Greens, bro. We're Laird.
I drink Laird Superfood. I don't drink fucking protein shit made by a chick. Are you fucking crazy, bro?
Yeah, no, that's nasty.
We're ready out here. We got all our. What are you drinking over there? You sipping on a little Henny? You got champagne?
This is what I call spa water. It's just a couple lemons that I put into a nice jug from Lotless, and then I keep it in the fridge all week.
Bro, the mason jar is giving me it's like country Bushwick hybrid that I wasn't ready for today.
I wouldn't mind a little twine wrapped around that mason jar.
Was that a free gift from a wedding?
No, listen. You know this was some pickled daikon, some $8.99 pickled daikon at Associated.
Actually, speaking of that, I was listening to Chris this morning when I was doing my cardio, and there was a funny joke that I just wanted to bring to light on our podcast. They were talking. They made a mention saying like people who don't like pickles would be called non-Brianary. What do you think about that, SPH?
Wow.
Did I say that, Jason?
You both of you guys got there together, but yeah.
I did another podcast. I did a podcast called Powerful Truth Angels over the weekend. And Jason, when I do stuff like that, Jason gets a little bit jealous, so he tries to kind of bring it up on the show.
Can I just say, Jason, it's fucking cool that you're listening to your friend and colleague's other work at the gym, like that you support that you're not just like, oh, he did some other bullshit thing without me.
Well, I mean, Chris a little bit, so I kind of got to keep an eye on what he's saying out there in the streets because
it'll come back to bite you.
Because my it could hurt my family financially. Because I edit this podcast, but when he's out there in the wild, I lose some of that control.
Mm-hmm. How much does he pay you per month to edit the podcast? Can I ask? You can bleep this out when you edit it.
You think I pay him directly? He just gets a larger cut of our overall profits.
Chris doesn't pay me. I pay
on the back end.
Yeah. I pay him from our account, and then he pays me from our account.
Sounds like we got a real Cayman Islands sort of round robin thing going on here.
Don't worry about us. I did learn to speak Swiss during the pandemic, so that's just a little hobby.
Spotify pays me, and then I pay Chris, and then Chris pays me.
Chris is in charge of How Long Gone LLC, and therefore I do the distributions when appropriate.
Wow.
But Jason does take it. Jason, I've talked about this before. Jason deserves more money because Jason does more work. Even though I'm the face of the brand, the mouthpiece, etc.
Right.
This wouldn't exist without him. He's more important than me.
That's beautiful that you can admit that.
that he can admit that he's the mouthpiece and face of this podcast. How beautiful.
That part was a joke because I don't like to get too earnest, but this podcast runs on Jason. No Duncan.
This podcast runs on jeans.
I mean, I can tell you got when you just brandished those gorgeous piano fingers in front of the camera just now, Jason. Like you've got editor's hands. I don't think Chris's sausage fingers could really.
My mama and my grandmama had editing hands too. It's just in my blood.
These hands are only for lifting and counting money. There's only two things these hands
Chris
can
does
do.
have a sausage hand, doesn't he? And look at these editing hands.
Yeah, you look like a chick. You look like a chick, and I can deadlift more than you. That's what we.
How do I look like a chick when my hands are bigger than yours, Chris? What does that make you? That makes you a fat chick.
The fingers are so.
I'm a hot link, and you're a sausage patty. With your little fat ass.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Chris. Sorry, was Rachmaninoff a chick?
Something to think about.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I never saw under the hood. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I ain't seen that. I don't know. Don't ask me questions you know I can't answer.
So Steve, now that you've been in the other side of the New York Times.
And by other side, you mean both above and below the fold, because that's how big the photo was.
I saw
yeah,
it.
you're not above the fold. You are the fold.
Could you guys do is there a photo shoot that exists where you guys aren't like at a restaurant? Is that just, or is that the creative direction that you guys kind of push for?
Listen, we're foodies, okay?
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that, Stephen. Don't worry.
We love to consume. I mean, the process was first the process of where to meet the reporter was like this whole back and forth for a week where Lily and I were like, okay, what downtown iconic bar should we go to that's totally going to symbolize our brand?
Dallas barbecue.
Oh, that came up.
You know, they're so cucked over there. I didn't think they would let a reporter go in public, you know, without 2 masks on and, you know, the whole thing. So it's nice that they kind of did that, risked it for
Well,
you.
it was a struggle. I mean, I first thought this wasn't going to happen because, well, the whole interview was separate. So we landed on the Beekman, which is this like very cheesy. Are you
The
familiar?
Beekman?
Yeah.
Of course I know the Beekman.
Okay.
It's become part of the conversation again because of the terrible Anna Delvey show on Netflix.
Oh,
Because she lives there. She like they call the police on her because she can't pay her bill, and that's
Spoiler alert.
I thought she lived at the Mercer.
it's 11 Howard, which is called 12 George in the show, which is amazing. It's 11. She lives in a bunch of hotels, but 11 Howard, the Beekman, and the Chateau are the ones that are like mentioned like by name.
Interessante. Yeah. Well, the Beekman was definitely giving very like affair/tourists.
Beautiful room though. Beautiful room.
Stunning room. Deep velvet couches, paintings of writers and authors, books everywhere. I mean, you know,
I could get lost in a room like that.
yeah, apothecary.
It's what
stuff.
Jason's other office looks like. He's in kind of the more functional one today.
Okay. I mean, I would hope that you actually do have a lot of fabric to absorb sound in your home recording studio, Jason. And I don't see a ton of fabric back there. You'll see I've got this curtain that I'm working with.
I have a Persian rug on the floor and a leather couch, but no, otherwise no.
Okay.
But I clean it all up in post. Don't you?
I mean, if
worry.
you want to send the file to our sound guy, we have an engineer. Maybe he could take a pass at it. If you just want to de-echoify it a little bit. But I mean, that's totally up to you.
Maybe your engineer and I could get on your Slack and just kind of
Yeah, you could have a little
just
powwow.
ping pong.
It only
different
costs. It's only
de-echoings.
it's only $10 a month to join our Slack.
I'm gonna be done editing this podcast before your little engineer even opens the email, bro. You've seen the fingers.
Honestly, that's probably true. I do think a more streamlined team is probably a better way to go.
Yeah.
You're looking at the team right here. It's very streamlined. That's why I shaved my head.
I think you guys are doing it right.
So tell me, so you go to the Beekman and you're looking around at all these Europeans and then guys with their mistresses, and you said this is for us.
Well, we made the decision based on it was like, you know, we're like, oh, what about the plaza? Because that'll be so, it's like kind of cheesy, but that's so us because we're totally post-ironic. And then, but it's, you know, it's also was featured prominently in the Kate Hudson film Bride Wars, and like, you know, we're really into mainstream comedies. So then, of course, we try to make a reservation at the plaza, and like, you can't really make a reservation like before 6, and you know, there's COVID rules, da 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 da. So then we were like, oh, what about like Balthazar? That's too obvious. It's too now. It's already over. But like, we still want to be hotel. And then we thought, oh, maybe Margaritaville. We're so hilarious. You know, we're such populists. We're men of the people. Let's do Margaritaville. Let's do Dallas BBQ. But then we were like, no, but the brand is really about like indulgence and luxury and martinis. And so we need to push that because this will be a lot of people's introduction to the brand. So we go with the Beekman. And of course, none of this matters because like, it's not like the reporter's really talking about the Beekman in great detail.
Not setting the stage in the way that
in
you
this
maybe
piece.
wanted.
No, I thought it was going to like occupy. I mean, I was really, the way that I was trying to craft this narrative, like we had a 3-hour conversation with this reporter. Like every 5 seconds, she's like, so like, how do you pick the books? I'm like, it's really not about the books. The books are a portal. Like it's a jumping off point for our vision of the world. Like this is our POV and we're actually cultural analysts. And what we really do is dive into food, to fashion, to people, to sexuality. And like, we really see ourselves as cultural adventurers, as spelunkers in the cave of conversation, and like just going on and on and on. And she's like, yeah, okay. So anyway, like, like, why are celebrities funny? And like, just keep kind of bringing it back to the classic.
Damn.
Like, so
I'm so, even though that we didn't get above the fold, I'm glad we didn't have a dud interviewer like you guys did.
Listen, listen, I love our interviewer. She was amazing. And she was also from Boston, which was so cool because I'm from there.
I love you guys calling her. I love referring to her as an interviewer. That's a nice shade, Jason. That was nice. I don't know if you realize what you're doing, but it was good.
Well, as opposed to what, journalist?
We don't say journalist. That's a little heavy-handed.
Documentarian?
I'm sorry. The lack of journalism that's going on in the media community, I think is...
What are you talking about? I just read this cool headline before we got on from a Substack, which is where I go for my journalism.
Sure.
And it says, somebody please Columbine...
As a verb.
Somebody please Columbine the entire The Cut editorial staff.
Wow.
Well, I've also seen that same headline. Someone needs to Columbine the entire Drunken Canal staff. And
Is that a thing that people
probably
say?
the same. It's probably the same
probably the same
person.
person.
What Substack is this?
I've never heard of this Substack before. It's called Cached Cobra's House Writer.substack.com. I don't even understand.
It could just be a Columbine coincidence.
You know, you can't spell Columbine without column. Kind of makes you think.
Really makes me
about
think.
Writing.
Someone's got their Condé Nast hat on today. I like that.
Actually says Nantucket. I don't know if you can see
It is
that.
a nice Nantucket dad.
What do you think is
two-tone?
So are you part of the vibe shift, or are you going against the vibe shift culture? Like, where are you at with this?
Where am I at with the Substack article that Sean Monahan wrote 9 months ago? That's a really good question. That a cut writer decided to write about 9 months later.
Shout out to Sean, previous guest of this show.
I think the cut writer was merely trying to signal boost Sean and his work, and bring more eyeballs. I bet he got more subby subscribers yesterday and death threats as well.
That's a good point.
Good for Sean. As someone who also recently got press from a girl, I think that it's really important to have your work celebrated in other media outlets, especially your sort of media work. Because what is the point of media if not to talk about other media?
No, I would agree. I just found the whole thing. It is. I don't mean to sound like an old guy, but it was a lot of words.
A lot of words. A lot of. Well, it kind of. I mean, I felt like it kind of inadvertently dragged Sean a little bit, like by accident, by just basically making the point that he was just saying that like things change. But sometimes they don't really change.
I mean, I think it's also all like fairly accurate. It's just kind of like when it's I don't know, when it's like written out, you're just like, this is dorky.
Yeah.
But the fact isn't necessarily wrong. It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, this is probably all true.
Yeah, all of it is correct, but you're like, okay, yes.
Yeah.
That used to be popular and now this is popular.
I don't like to read Sneakers app written out personally. That's a little bit of a problem for me.
So the central thesis that Sean was putting forward, of course, is that we've had three major vibe shifts in the past 15 years. And, you've gone from indie sleaze to sort of post-Hillary Duff culture. I forget what the middle one was. And then there was woke
hype beast, which is what that's exactly how I would describe Jason to all our friends and coworkers.
Every podcast needs like one wokist and one anti-wokist, You need a Bernie bro and you need a Hillarista.
Welcome to How Long Gone.
Hillarista. I've never heard Hillarista before.
Hillbot, I think, is also acceptable in the community.
Steven swims in some more political circles than we do, so he's privy to...
You may know that I'm a former political consultant and speechwriter.
You've told us that. Is AOC coming on the pod, or are you kind of putting that off?
We're actually getting lunch at the Beekman right after this.
Well, once AOC finishes that book.
Here's what I have to say about Sean's article, and I do want to talk about AOC's book, but...
We don't, but go ahead, sure.
I do feel like there is another sort of... Like, you could just as easily make the argument and like have it completely be like everyone agree with you that culture hasn't changed in the past 30 years. And you could just be like, well, everything's pretty much the same and there's no new ideas and things are going in circles and people are still basically wearing like semi-skinny straight leg jeans and like white sneakers and have been doing so since 1998.
Yep.
I would agree with you completely on that. I mean, I think that's the problem with the internet, is that if you want to prove or disprove anything to people that already agree with you, you can do that very easily.
Yeah.
Are there any other parts of the world other than New York?
No. The answer is no.
Whatever I'm about to say, the answer is no. like vibe. There's a vibe shift happening in every major metropolitan area all over the world,
from Chicago to Nairobi.
But New York is the only one that feels that like I have to tell other people that I also noticed that people are wearing Jinkos now, but then in like 6 months they're not going to be wearing Jinkos anymore, and they're like why? Like what makes New York people feel the need to tell all these people these things, other than in hopes of getting a check, I guess?
Well, no one's getting a check. I definitely know that Sean is not making any money off of this The Cut article, except for perhaps an increased Substack subscriber
But I mean,
base.
if somebody reading this who is in the process of trying to hire a trend forecaster, and they're like, this person really knows their trends, then he could be making a check.
Sure. I mean, I guess there's like that. I mean, that's the possibility with like every. It's like what.
I mean, obviously, no one's making money doing any of this shit. So, what is the point?
What is the point of New Yorkers trying to like make themselves feel better than everyone else?
Well, I mean, this person, I believe she's like a staff writer, so this is her job to churn this shit out. It's not like she like pitched this and got paid $300. I'm sure she's on salary, and it's like, but it did. What we're talking about, it did exactly what it should do. It set the internet on fire for 24 hours, 48 hours. Everybody talked about it, and it'll go away like every other story.
Well, everyone on the internet that you see, everyone on your little narrow feed, Chris. Okay, your little.
No, that's true.
Well,
that's true.
Well, actually, Stephen, it's interesting because like these cut articles and these cultural articles like that all of our little silo sinks our teeth into and tears apart and rips up in the group chat or whatever. But also, the rest of the world who are not trying to be cool and cultural and interesting do that about politics, right? And
True.
They'll just go on forever to have people talk about it. But you kind of swim in both circles, so which one's more fun?
I do swim in both circles. Like a guy I slept with this summer in France, for example, is a teacher in Paris. Okay. He's always posting about strikes in Paris. And I'm just like, next. Boring. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what he's not talking about is Le Vibe Chef. Okay? It's not part of the convo.
Okay. I think I know what you're getting at here, Stephen.
Yeah, Steven said the dick was okay, but I'm more into a union buster. You know what
I mean?
Hello. So are you saying that
I'm looking for a scab to cross some picket lines.
So when you have nothing in the world to ever complain about or talk about, there's no strikes, there's no civil unrest, everything seems to be going pretty okay in your life, that's when the stage is set for you to start talking.
Oh, that wasn't even the point I was making. I mean, you're actually trying to like bring us down a notch. I mean, I actually think
bring it up a notch?
No, I think it's maybe somewhat the reverse, which is that New York it's such a fucking hard city that beats you down, and it's cold, and the air is metallic, and the trains are loud, and it's like sirens all the time, and I pay $6,000 to live in a shoebox. Like,
I don't care where you come from or what you did when you come to New York. You start at the bottom just like we all did.
Hell fucking yes, bitch. It's the city of dreams.
And that's what I hate about this city, but it's also what I fucking love about this city.
I fucking love about this city. And that's why Nike allows me to be a creator on my Microsoft Surface. And I'm creating skateboard designs every day while I work at the Standard as a barista, but also a sex worker. No, the thing is
and it's time to pay. Sorry, no,
it's time to what?
It's time to donate. It's time to donate. It's that time of the month.
Donate. I have a GoFundMe to launch my hotel business. So I think that
as you know, ladies, it's not cheap to open a hotel.
No, it's not.
It's really not.
Especially an LGBTQIA2S plus inclusive hotel.
Is that a new model of electric car from BMW, or is that
Steve? What do you think is more likely to have the first LGBTQ 2.0 plus F series AMG edition? Is the first hotel going to exist in the real world or in the metaverse?
There's already an the standard is the LGBTQ plus S2 hotel.
No.
I don't know. Gay people are so fucking cheap and annoying. Like they don't have any money because they're so lazy and they refuse to work. I mean, as you pointed out, I'm the first gay person you've ever heard of that knows how to use Ableton. Like, we just don't have marketable skills, and all we do is sit around complaining and launching GoFundMes.
That's not true. That's not true. You guys have abs, and like there's other stuff that you bring to the table.
So if somebody hands a normal gay person a laptop with Ableton open, they just kind of hit it with a rock like a primitive man
Yes.
trying to open
Okay.
something.
That laptop is going to be covered in pistachio unicorn latte. Take it to TechServe, sweetheart. It's cooked.
Take it to TechServe. Oh, what a throwback!
Really
Nice
revealing my
throwback.
geriatric millennial.
That's us, bro.
cohort here.
That's us. That's all of us.
So,
Unfortunately.
Steven, you were talking before about your interview and your interviewee about the kind of closed-minded look at your show would be you guys do a show where you talk about books that celebrities wrote.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that, obviously,
So
to
much
everyone
more
who
than that.
listens to it, of course. And it's not like it's through the lens of a book, but you guys use the book as like a way to kind of plant the seed or ignite the convo.
It's a jumping off point.
It's a
Jason.
jumping off point.
We could also use the term access point. Portal is definitely thrown around a lot as well.
An API access point.
It's an entryway. It's a sort of a Narnia wardrobe, if you will.
Oh, yes. That's good because Chris likes menswear. So what my question is at some point, because you guys are so good at talking and so good at podcasting, that it doesn't need to be about books anymore.
No, and I'm so fucking sick of reading. I swear to God, I read a book a week.
I thought you guys lied. I didn't think you actually read the books at this
Yeah,
point.
but
I thought
like,
that was
you-
just a
you
shtick.
gotta-
They use audible.com.
I mean, okay, first of all, listening to a book actually takes longer than reading a book.
Okay, swag.
And even if you're doing it on like 1.6 speed or whatever, because here's the problem. Okay, here's the problem with listening to stuff. You can't go back. You can't flip back. You can't like skim. You can't be like, oh, this part's
Yeah.
maybe not that interesting. I'm going to skip forward 20 pages. I drive stick shift. Okay, again, one of the few gay men with skills in this country.
I'm impressed.
I like to be in control of my vehicle. I want to be in control of my book. I want to I want to actually have. I want to be in the driver's seat, right? I want to go forward. I want to skip around. I want to read it at my own pace. I want to go back if I miss something. Oh, what's that name? What's that thing? You can't do that in an audiobook. You're just sitting there like a goddamn automaton.
You want to ruffle your finger across some pages with like a weird little. You want to jiggle the stick shift on the Acura.
This isn't some Luddite, I'm not like, oh, I love the tactile feel of the page, oh, I miss the dead tree version of the newspaper. I'm not that. I'm not that kind of an anti-digital person. It really comes around to control and to be able to enjoy a book and use the book in the way that you need to use it.
This is getting sexual in a way that I'm not comfortable with.
I didn't take it for a top, Steven.
I'm verse. And I have to be as I age. You can't be a bottom forever. Like you really have to be able to
I
be
didn't
a
know
top.
that.
When
I
you're
didn't know
past
that.
30 in the gay community. No, I mean, it's insane. When you're like, you can't just be like 42 and be like, I'm 100% bottom. It's just like, good luck, bitch. Like you have to play the role of daddy as you get older.
God gives his toughest, largest penises to its strongest bottoms. Okay.
That is so true. Wildly true.
Okay, so what I was saying is obviously you don't need to have it be about books anymore, and you never really needed that access point to begin with because you guys are already so good at talking. You never needed the bumper bowls to be there. You could have been hitting strikes the whole time. At what point do you ever plan on shifting it or changing it, or are you locked
We're
into this?
slowly trying to seed in more content that is non-book. And, to test it out with audiences and sort of see how those waters go. So,
Non-book.
sort of non-book waters.
I'm more in the non-book waters myself.
I mean, I was always in non-book waters before this podcast. I'm sort of famously anti-book. I especially hate fiction.
You hate fiction?
I think fiction is such an insult. It's just like it's asking you to sit there and imagine all of these images in your head.
Steven, you're straight baiting right now, and I like it.
I like fiction, unfortunately, but I don't disagree with what you're saying. It's asking a lot of the reader.
Yeah.
Is what your issue is.
It's unfinished. I'm just like, well, okay. Now let's see the TV show. Now let's see the movie. Let's add. We need costumes. I need actor. I need sets. I need a little bit more here.
Costumes.
Like I'm just sitting here. I'm reading your notes.
Is Johnny Greenwood gonna score it?
Is that a straight guy?
Okay, so you don't. So you're in the middle of that of a vibe shift of your own podcast?
We're shifting the vibe somewhat. We just did a call-in episode, which was really fun. Tons of positive feedback, tons of activity on the Slack. Hop in there when you get a chance.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll do kind of or just like an aesthetic critique episode where we like talk about interior design for the whole episode. And we don't read any books, and we basically just make shit up. I mean, one of the fun things about our pod is, we sort of do a lot of conjecture.
Okay.
Which is also very the vibe shift article, if you will, where we just sort of like, there's just no way to fact check it. And you could easily
very similar to this podcast. That's exactly what we try to do. That's where Rogan got tripped up. All that medical stuff, they can check that.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Rogan, bless him. It's just like he needs to just figure out a way to have what he's saying be clear. It's just be idea based, because it is idea based. And, he doesn't necessarily need to be a fact checker either.
I like that. I think we're going to rebrand, Jason, How Long Gone, an idea-based podcast. I think that really kind of frees us up to do a little more.
Well, then you can get into sort of the Aspen Ideas Festival circuit. I mean, that's where the real money is. Davos, the Atlantic, thought center.
Do you think Jason and I can get invited to like Rupert Murdoch's thing? Like, how far away are we?
How long gone are you from Rupert Murdoch's summit at like in Indian Hills Golf?
We're speaking at a podcast conference next weekend in New York. Thanks to our friends at Spotify.
Steven, we should link. Do you want to come?
I'm actually going to be out of town next week.
Oh, no.
But I think Lily might be speaking at the podcast. What's it called? It's called
On Air Fest.
Yes, it looks so fake, and it's at the White Hotel. They were like, there will be free lunch and snacks for everyone at the White Hotel, including drinks. I was like, wait. It looks fake.
So we're going to show up at 11 a.m. every day for the overnight oats. Get there fast. They go quickly.
We're there. Jason's there for the snacks. I'm there for the kind of linking and building with all the important kind of, stakeholders from the podcast universe, which I feel like is something we can't miss out on.
There's a lot of people in the industry that Chris has been dying to chat with.
Yeah, dying to chat with some guy that produces Radio Lab. Yeah. That's who I want to chat with. There's some NPR. There's Vice is going to premiere a new show that they've never talked about before. I'm like, what is
Elite podcaster Dr. Jane Goodall will be there speaking.
Okay, wait. Can I say
she's my Rogan?
I saw her once speak at the American University in Paris.
Oh wow.
When I was a student there, and she was incredible. I cried.
She lit it on fire.
Beautiful soul. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe, would you consider changing your trip to be out of town this weekend so you could stick around for them jeans and Dr. Jane Goodall?
No, because I have.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Are we off to Ibiza again?
No, I'm going to an island. I'm going to Nantucket for a week.
I'm going to an island.
You're going to an island. Don't say island and then say Nantucket. Island is Jamaica, St. Kitts Island. You're going to a white people beach. That's what you're going to.
Yes.
You could just say that.
And you know who's from Nantucket, Chris?
Who?
Meghan Trainor. Okay. And she's got a lot of soul.
I agree. I think Meghan Trainor has more soul than Jane Goodall, in my personal opinion.
For a Nantucket chick, she has been through a lot.
She has been through a lot.
What are you going to be doing on the island?
I'm on island time, man.
I'm in Bumbleclot, Nantucket.
Playing some steel drums at the old harbor.
So it's in the dead of winter, the end of February. We're going to pull up to Nantucket, some coconut Mai Tais.
I'm thinking this could be a great opportunity for my mom to take me out to an expensive dinner.
Wait, you're going with your mom?
Well, no, my parents, they do have a house there, so I'll be sort of checking in with them. Okay. But then I'm also sort of randomly, and this is embargoed, but I am kind of sleeping with this guy who does live out there, and so I'm also going to be seeing him a little bit.
When you say embargoed, does that mean I have to edit that part out, or is that for Patreon only?
Yeah, that 20 seconds is for your Patreon.
If you want to know who Steven's fucking in Nantucket, check it out on the Patreon.
He's some guy. He doesn't say his name. It's just some guy that lives there. Is how he did. So Jake Gyllenhaal goes there a lot.
Steve, does he live there year round, or is this just a summer home?
Well, it's not the summer, but he's doing like a sort of a project. He's a botanist. I feel like I've said too much.
Oh, botanist dick is some good dick.
Bro, this guy, come on, bro.
At the very least, it's clean.
Botanist dick? This is crazy. This is a twist and a half.
I think it's cool to sleep with people who have like skills and like interests and
No,
you know?
1,000%.
I wish I knew one person that had that stuff that you're talking about. But
It's the first time it's ever happened to me. Like literally everyone I've ever been involved with is like another R word like me, who's just like who's just like purely lives in pursuit of their own like narcissistic like it's adulation and attention.
So why do you think this guy likes you?
First of all, I'm a celebrity.
I bet he has a subscription. They can deliver the New York Times by boat to Nantucket. I'm assuming.
Oh, they do. When the ferry arrives, people are clamoring for news from the big city.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
They want to know what the well-heeled New Yorkers are chattering about.
Are they still wearing tabbies?
So your parents are going to be there, and you're going to be like, "Sorry, Mom, I've got a dick appointment with the botanist. I got to go." Like, how is this going to work?
Kind of.
I met a friend online who's a botanist. Oh, that sounds fun, Stephen. Yeah, we're going to go talk about botany.
I love botany, Mom. You remember that from growing up.
I'll be home tomorrow. We have so much botany to discuss that I'll probably... Don't wait up.
You know what? Listen, she's a mom. She is very involved in her own world.
Have you come out yet to her? Does she still not know about this part?
About me fucking people who have like interests, or about me being gay?
Both, actually.
I'm saying you don't have to tiptoe about any of this stuff with your mom, or is it still a little weird?
No. You know, in fact, she came out to me for me on Nantucket. In fact,
wait. What do you mean? What do you mean? She came out to you for you?
You know, I know you're gay, right?
No, and she goes, you know, Stephen, I was reading that New York University is one of the best colleges to be LGBTQ at. and then there was like a silence, and then she just goes, "That's my subtle way of telling you I know you're gay."
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, and when she said the first line, did the fresh squeezed orange juice just start spraying out of your nose uncontrollably? Was it shocking to you? Or was it comforting?
You know, my heart started pounding a little bit. It's like, you know, you still have that kind of like, you always regress when you're with your parents. You know, I always go back to like age 13 where I'm slamming the door. I'm like, "Shut up, Mom! Like, I don't want waffles for breakfast.
I want pancakes.
I want Rice Krispies.
You stupid fucking bitch.
With whole milk. You Nazi cow." You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, when you go to Nantucket, they're like, "Are they still only drinking whole milk in New York?"
Yeah. Yeah, they read that Caitlin Phillips article from July. No, I don't think anyone has a The Cut subscription on Nantucket.
They don't allow that. That'll get you kicked out of the small community.
Unless you're cutting the rose bush, that's about it.
So when your mom outed you, was there a staff member around, or was it just the two of you?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I guess, yeah, I mean, well, okay, there was the gardener, there was the
The gardener knew.
The gardener already knew, if you know what I mean.
honey, the gardener was my first.
No wonder you so you've been hitting botanists for a while then.
Yeah, there was the florist, which is different than the gardener. You know, the gardener like is not allowed in the house, but the florist actually gets to come in.
Your mom sounds like my type of chick. I'd like to build with her sometime.
She is an alcoholic. I don't know if that's up your alley.
It's not mine.
As a recovering one, I think I could maybe give her some help, you know?
Wait, you are sober?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. You guys have the energy of like one of you sober.
I can't tell if that's bad or good, but sure.
No, it's millennial.
But it's good to have. I mean, my favorite thing about our podcast is like the duality of Chris and I. Almost every single thing is like a yin and yang,
right?
Which always keeps things interesting. You know, you don't want to have a discourse of two guys agreeing about everything the whole time. It's not so fun.
I encounter this a lot in my work as like listening to other podcasts randomly.
Thank you for doing the work.
I often actually think of you guys because the word that comes to mind when I think of you two is balance. You both are very funny, but in this different way. The timing is just a little bit different. Obviously, there's the height difference. Obviously, we've discussed the sort of the hand makeup is giving different energy. And I think that's yeah, that's really what makes tension exciting. Because sometimes you'll listen to a podcast and, you know, maybe they both are funny, but it's the same kind of funny. They both have energy, but it's the same kind of energy. And it just becomes grating. And I think this is the problem with a lot of faggots, is where it's like they're all exactly the same. And I think that I've never heard a podcast with more than one gay guy that I wanted to listen to for more than 30 seconds. Because I'm just like, this is too much faggotry, and faggotry, you know, they're too similar to each other. I can't even.
So at a certain point, it's just two people going T, T, T. T,
period, cis, T, and that's on period, and that's on cis.
And that's it. That's it.
Cis.
What is the number one gay podcast?
The Daily. That show's fucking gay, bro.
He's not gay anymore. He left his his
Oh, right.
man for a chick.
He went back in the closet. That's so psycho.
Not a lot of people go back.
Truly unheard of, and unheard of.
I just meant the show itself is gay. I don't know anything about the host.
But I don't know. But maybe he also just like couldn't hack it as a gay. He didn't feel like he was like attractive enough because the gay world is like so intimidating and gym oriented.
See, I find the gay world very open and welcoming.
The gay community is open arms for Chris Black for some reason. I don't know what it is. The one that got away, forbidden fruit, unattainable. What could it be?
Wish I knew.
It's all this guy. The way you just said that, you know, that voice, that wish I knew. I mean, come on.
So Stephen, you're saying she knows exactly what she's doing.
She knows exactly what she's doing. Please.
I'm not going to be accused of gay baiting once again on my own podcast. I'm sick of the slander.
It's just like asking Brad Pitt, like, what do you think all these gay guys want to have sex with you? Like, I wish I knew.
Why is he waking up?
Yeah.
Couldn't tell.
Yeah. Brad Pitt is always just waking up. You know, he wants you to think about bed.
I'm waiting to see him because I feel like he's around, kind of like it's Freeze. It's like Art Week in LA, so people like, and Brad Pitt
loves
is a sculptor.
Freeze. He loves Freeze.
Art Week in LA. I mean, come on, talk about movers and shakers.
Sorry, Chloe Weiss doesn't live here, but we have some.
I actually heard she's doing a book launch this week.
Mom, I can't come.
I went to a great
Mom,
party.
I'm going to Chloe Weiss's book launch.
I went to a great party the other night, and I was actually surprised and then I realized all the good-looking people that were dressed well were visiting from out of town. So then it all kind of made sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they did spring for a valet, which I thought was a nice touch.
Was this like at a space or a home? A venue?
No, it was at a space. It was at a space. It's this thing called Size, and the exhibition was called Vessels. But it's at like a space. And it's on.
It was Vessels at Size.
yeah. The two things that you're very interested in, both of those things. But they hired a valet, which I was like, because parking over there, it's a nightmare. You already know. It's, you know, I think hiring a valet is something that everybody should do.
Don't get me started on parking. This was in Los Feliz, Lower Los Feliz,
Lower Los Feliz.
West
That's not
Hills.
a term. That's not a real place.
I like it though.
Lower Feliz Hills.
What do you think about LA, bro?
Well, you know I'm Californian by blood.
Oh, are you?
Both my parents are from LA.
So your parents have chosen Nantucket instead of Santa Barbara.
They chose Boston, you know, because it's such a European intellectual hub.
Your parents left California for Boston. What, they think they're Joan Didion? That's crazy.
My mom would love to be Joan Didion. She would love to be that thin. But I also think, I mean, my mom is like cosplaying as a wasp. Like that's her whole life because she like, you know, she grew up
Wasplay.
Catholic in the Valley. You know what I mean? In Encino, and so like, you know, eating canned vegetables. You know. With her abusive mother, you know, very like 1950s. So like she has this idea of just like this sort of Kennedy fantasy that she's kind of playing out in the Massachusetts area.
No wonder Chris likes her.
I have a your mom.
What's her drink of choice, and what time of the day does it begin, Stephen? Unless this is a triggering subject, we don't have to talk about it.
No, absolutely not. It's like around if I'm like home with my parents. And it's like around 5:15. She'll just be sitting there like on her many iPads.
She looks like Dr. Dre at the Super Bowl on her 12 iPads.
Yes, she's like an Uber driver with the 18 different screens. And she'll just sort of look up and to no one in particular just go, drinks?
See, that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. That's your cue to like make her a cocktail.
And then everyone looks at each other, and whoever's closer to the wet bar, it's their job.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it a salty dog? Is it a greyhound?
She's a savory gal, just like me. She loves as a child, she loved gin and tonics, and I have this memory of being a 3-year-old, like maybe 5. I guess I was walking up the stairs. Maybe it wasn't 3. But I was holding a gin and tonic, and I took a sip of it, and I was so disgusted by it.
Your palate wasn't there yet.
And so it took me a long time to come around to G&Ts, because then I associated them with my mom's sort of like, withdrawal from her role as mother. But yeah, now she's a big martini gal. We're both like Grey Goose gals. We love to like sit down in a restaurant and go, Grey Goose? Oh, she loves gimlets too. And she always goes, with fresh lime juice.
Your mom sounds like a customer I wouldn't want to serve.
She's a real gas. She likes to ham it up. She likes to entertain. She's definitely fun, like to be at a dinner party.
Does your dad hate her, or do they get along?
My dad is. How do I say this? My dad's a saint. You know what I mean? It's one of those things.
Yeah.
And he's a real sweetheart, and he's got his own rhythms. So
he's out back working on the under the hood on the Porsche, having a Budweiser, just regular salt of the earth.
He's so the not ever doing that kind of guy. He's a huge nerd. He's very like, I'm going on a hike, and like let's go look at the stars. He's a doctor. He plays piano. You know what I mean? He's kind of a faggot, but he's sweet. He's very sweet.
He's got his own rhythms as a really nice way to say something about someone.
No, that's great for like. It's also, I think that's a great thing to say when you like, you don't want to hang out with someone. You're just like, well, they have their own rhythms.
And I have our time signatures are off. We both make beautiful music, but it's just not going to click.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen, at the end of your podcast, you guys have a segment of like, what does she eat? Where does she live? That whole thing. Can you explain that?
I love that you listen to my podcast, Jason. I just say, not to be totally earnest, but as a fan of you guys, I will say I don't listen like for the 11 episodes you put out per week, because like I have a life. But it's whenever I pop in, I'm always just like, it's always solid. It's always really solid and consistent.
Consistency is key, Steve. Thank you.
But yes, we do a segment at the end because people like things when they know that they're coming. People love recognition. You know what I mean? It's like you're at the club and you hear Katy Perry "Birthday," and you're like, I know that song. You know what I mean? And so when you have like a recurring segment on a podcast, you're like, I know it's coming.
Yeah, people I'm waiting for Weekend Update on SNL. I'm waiting for Katy Perry's second song that's gonna not be as good as the first song.
Exactly.
Even if you don't like it, it's good to know that it's there. So I want to play that. I want you and I to do that, but for Chris, is that okay?
Yes.
So what are the subjects again?
All right. So it's what does she eat? What does she wear? How does she live?
Okay.
All right. So let's start with what does she eat? Okay. Well, I mean, you guys do talk about Erewhon.
I mean, unfortunately, what does she eat? The answer is nothing. So it's kind of
eating disorder vibes.
Not much is the answer I'm looking for.
She's eating nothing. She's drinking a smoothie from Erewhon. It's $18, and then for dinner she's eating a nice plate of fish.
I was gonna say it's Eva Longoria. 6 ounces of salmon.
Yes, 6 ounces of salmon on a large plate with nothing else on it, but like a lemon wedge.
Victoria Beckham's eaten the same piece of steamed fish for 20 years.
Really?
She said she had the same thing for 20 years. Yeah.
Anderson Cooper, when he worked at CNN, or maybe he still does, but I used to be an intern there. And for a long time, he would have the same lunch every day, and it was ham from Boston Market.
What?
With a double side of corn.
Oh, God.
So this is lunch? Ham flap and with double corn for lunch?
a ham flap. Yeah.
And Anderson
corn.
keeps it tight.
He used to keep it a little tighter, but I think
I would imagine he's loosened up.
He's old though, man. Anderson Cooper's probably, I mean, he's a lot older than I think of him as.
Yeah, that's like when you see the grandma who's like 120 years old and like, I drink 5 vodka sodas a day and smoke, and like,
in my day you could get double corn at Boston Market. Okay, grandma, let's get you to bed.
Not everyone lets you do double corn nowadays. It's fucked up.
Double corn at Boston Market is something I'm gonna have to get Jason to sample when we're back on the East Coast. I'm taking TJ out on the town with the How Long Gone card.
We got BMs here in LA too. They're not a plenty, but we have them.
You got a few BMs in LA?
I always feel like the BM, like there's one left in the country, and it's like it's in Maspeth.
There was a BM in Atlanta that I believe was turned into a gas station. That's what I'll tell you. That's how good the business is at Boston Market.
Cut out the middleman, am I right?
That's good. So I was sitting right there. Okay, so yeah, she's eating a plate of steamed fish. On the side is some lightly dressed arugula. There's no dessert. But I think, the thing with Chris is he always has the same meal type of thing. But then at a certain point, a little sneaky something happens, like a little cheat bite, where it's like a punishment kind of thing. It is like a step on my testicles with a high heel kind of food moment. What do you think that is for him, though?
Is it something really sad that's not even indulgent, like a gluten-free like pumpkin cake with some just like sad that looks like it's been drizzled with cum or something?
A cum drizzled gluten-free chia cake. It's in the plastic. It was baked 3 weeks ago,
and it's called like Lisa's Cakes, and it's like $7.99 at Erewhon, and it's like this big. It's really dense.
It's so dense.
Super dry.
Lisa's Cake. Okay, Chris has a hard out at 1.
Wait,
so.
okay. But quick question: do you think it's SodaStream or not? I feel like.
No.
There's no SS in that.
Oh.
Actually, Chris drinks his water out of the gallon.
I would never
It'd be nice
use that
to see the
disgusting
SodaStream
machine. Oh.
Gallon edition. It's going to take a lot of gas.
Yeah.
I'm working on a custom vessel for my water intake. We'll talk about that on a later episode.
Excited to see what you come up with.
Let's do one more. Where does she live? How does she live?
How does she live? I mean, I assume this office is not such a reflection of his taste. It's pretty blank back there. What's going on with the closet space?
No, this is not a reflection. I mean, I could show you the Vitso, over here with the Eames padded,
It's kind of a modern day Unabomber vibe.
That's exactly that's exactly what I'm going
shelves, books.
Wow, that is a good read on Chris.
That's perfect.
Kind of when they show when they find the assassin's apartment and the police get to the assassin's apartment, but he's been gone for 2 weeks and they're like, who lives here? And it's just there's a couple magazines and no clothes, and they're just like, huh.
He's got his pen out and he's picking up a sock with it, looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's
one cum-drenched sock. Hard as a rock.
Hard as a rock. He's definitely on the move.
It's been weeks since this evacuation.
Man, fuck both of y'all, man. Damn.
All right,
I live
SPH.
good. I eat good. I'm good.
Thank you for taking the time to pod. Like I said, Chris does have a heart out, but it is always a treat having you on, and thank you for taking the time.
I have a heart out as well. As I have to get to Nantucket. I have a lot to do over there.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. I'm a huge fan of you guys. Realist in the game.
It's a reciprocal relationship, and we'll do a crossover episode of Celebrity Book Club, and you're always welcome here on How Long Gone as a reoccurring character in the How Long Gone universe.
I love that. I love to be part of the extended HLG fam.
And we'll see you guys in the Slack after this, and then we're really going to get into it.